What's going on, guys? This is Purgatory and welcome to a brand new video, and today we're talking about Black Ops Cold War multiplayer. So pretty much I'm going to keep it short and sweet, my review on Black Ops Cold War multiplayer, and kind of towards the end I'm going to give you about a few tips. I don't know how many tips I have, but I'm going to give you a few tips on how to play certain maps and just how to be improved at this game in general. In the background you're watching some decent gameplay. Right now I think what's playing right now is the Miami gameplay I got, which is I think it was a 24-1. It's a little slow, but that's kind of how you have to play Miami. But then the next game is a satellite game that I actually just got, if that is assuming I'm still talking at this point. So the first off, obviously, that is this whole multiplayer, the review of this multiplayer. So I'm gonna keep it straight up with you guys. I haven't really been having too much fun with this multiplayer. Do I think it's more fun than Modern Warfare? I absolutely do. Do I think it feels more satisfying than Modern Warfare? I absolutely do. But there's a lot of things right now that I think they need to iron out before it can be a lot of fun. Obviously, you know, skill-based matchmaking, the thing I feared the most, is in this game, and it's pretty strong, and you can definitely feel it, unfortunately. But I mean, that's kind of how it is nowadays. You kind of have to sort of accept it. Will they eventually make a slight change to skill base? I have no idea. That's not my control. I'm going to predict no. We're not going to see a single change to skill base in this game. So that's just not, that doesn't roll well with me, but you know, I kind of learned to deal with it. Another thing is the maps. I'm a little disappointed that we only got 8 maps. And 2 of them, in my personal opinion, aren't very good. I would probably say Armada Strike and personally Miami. As much as I like to look at Miami, it's not that great of a map, even though it's one of my best performing maps currently, which is the gameplay you're watching. Yeah, the maps are okay at best. They're not terrible. Like, they're playable. Like Miami and Armada Strike, they're playable, but they're not they're not exceedingly great as well. They're not excellent. They're not, I wouldn't really say they're memorable either. Like, these maps, I would say are pretty okay. They're playable. They flow pretty well for the most part, and I think they're okay. The lack of maps, I do understand that it is COVID. There's a pandemic going on. All these developers have to work from home pretty much, and it's really hard to make a game as of right now. But I can't help the fact that I'm still so disappointed that there's only 8 maps in this game. I would have actually at least liked to see at least 10 or 11 maps. I know the standard still to this day should be 14 to about maybe 15 maps. That's what I think we got, like 17 in Modern Warfare 3. I could be completely wrong, but I think the max amount of maps we got was about maybe 17, 16. I could be completely wrong on that, but that is what I'm kind of trying to engage from my memory. But yeah, so pretty much the fact that we even got like half of that is a little disappointing. I'm still glad that we got a new Call of Duty this year, but I'm just really upset about the map count, to be completely honest. But that will be resolved here pretty soon, because November 24th we get Nuketown, which is our 9th map, and then when Season 1 comes out, which is December 10th, which is actually not too far from now, also 5 days before my birthday, funny enough, we're going to be getting, I believe, a few more multiplayer maps at least. I could have completely assumed that we're going to get at least 2 new 6v6 maps. We might just get 1, but hey, at least you know, in a short amount of time we're getting new maps. So obviously, I think Season 1 we're also getting a new Fireteam map, and I do want to talk about that mode real quick. So that is actually going to transition me to that. So Fireteam, I don't know how to feel about this mode, man. Like, this mode is like potential to be great. I don't know, like, if I'm not playing it right. I probably am not playing it right, because, you know, knowing me, I'm impatient and I bomb rush everything, and you know, that's kind of what happens. But Fireteam right now I think is a chaotic mess. I don't think it's fun at all. It's fun up until the score streaks and the vehicles start coming in. Like, obviously, you know, take a car or whatever to go around, but when a tank rolls in or a helicopter rolls in, or I think an attack helicopter that people can pilot, when that rolls in, the game mode starts becoming way less fun. And also, the amount of people going around at one dirty bomb, while I understand the point of it is to be hectic, kind of towards the end, hectic, intense, you know, trying to learn how to position yourself, I think it is chaotic in all the wrong ways. I do need to give it some more playtime to give it a final opinion, but right now, that is how I currently feel about this game, or about this game mode. So let's go ahead and go on to weapons in general, and that is weapon balance, weapon XP, XP in general, all that stuff. So first off, the weapon balance isn't in a great spot right now. As of recording this, the MP5 was nerfed, but that gun was insanely good, and it still is pretty insanely good up close. But what I do like the approach that they're taking with this game, and that's kind of the Modern Warfare 2 mentality where every gun just feels good. Obviously, there's some weapon balancing changes to be made, especially with the burst rifles and the shotguns. But that's really about it. Like, the XM4 performs pretty well. I would say all the ARs perform pretty well in their own way. XM4, I've been using a ton of that lately. The AK-47 is really good. These weapons are nice. Like, the SMGs are actually pretty decent too. But the MP5, man, I think it's still just going to reign king because everybody's just used to the MP5 being fantastic in Modern Warfare. And so it's going to be great in this game again. But I feel like if they do a little bit more tuning, we could see a lot more Milanos, KSPs, more Bullfrogs, and even some more, some AK-74Us. Like, AK-74U, it's so weird to see, but like that gun I'm seeing used less and less, and we're seeing more MP5s when in the alpha, the MP5 was like the weakest gun in the game, which is kind of funny to me. So, I mean, the whole flip around that we're getting here is kind of interesting. So, I guess kind of sort of up next is the whole creative class system. I'm really glad that the gunsmith is back. The fact that I feel like this gunsmith system is a little better than Modern Warfare is, because Modern Warfare you kind of went in there with your same attachments, and like, because every weapon had the same attachments. Like, you went in there with your monolithic suppressor, your stipple grip tape, your stock that helped your sprinting or your moving or your strafing, and you could either take a red dot, or you like even running in with just your Merc foregrip or Ranger foregrip or Commando foregrip. But like, there really wasn't much to like customize, because once everybody found different attachments, it was like, okay. But now in this game, every single gun, at least from all the guns that I've used so far, have their own like unique attachments. Do they have kind of similar stats? Yes. But these like attachments, even though I guess it's because just they're named different, but I don't entirely know. But like, they all feel like unique attachments to me. I don't know why. Like, in Modern Warfare, they didn't feel like unique attachments, because you still had the same Commando, the monolithic, again, your 60 round mag, if you could put it on there, your stipple grip tape, stuff like that. Like, it wasn't very much, okay to me. But yeah, the attachments are nice, and that's going to lead me to the next thing, and that is the weapon leveling. The weapon leveling is absolutely atrocious unless you're on PlayStation partying up with friends. So I was playing with D-Have. I really wanted to test this, but pretty much after we played solos, our solos were like, it was like taking 3 games to level up at least once. But when we played, that's probably an exaggeration to be honest, but when we played together, I was ranking up my gun every game. So there needs to be some adjustment here. Obviously, solo players are getting punished right now, and from what I'm seeing they're getting punished for being a solo player, and being punished for not using PlayStation, obviously. But overall, I think the weapon progression needs to speed up that, or at least make it to where the camos can't be locked behind level progression, because I'm sitting here trying to grind these camos in zombies, but I have to go in the multiplayer to rank up weapons, because zombies ranking, like weapons ranking, is kind of slow, in my personal opinion. It's still pretty slow in zombies. I think they're about the same pace, but it just still feels slow. So I go in the multiplayer, get a few, like play a few games, try to rank it up. I'm at 47 with the XM4, and I have, I think, over like 1,000 kills with it already. Well, that's an exaggeration. I think I have a little over maybe 700, 800 kills, and I'm only level 47 with it. I've been playing with this gun for 2 days. In that launch, I was playing with the AK-47 for 3 days. I don't have 8 hours a day to grind anymore, because I'm a working man. And Treyarch, it feels like they're just punishing you for not playing the game that much, for being that guy who has a life. So there needs to be some adjustment to weapon leveling. it needs to change. So the military ranking I feel like is fine. The prestiging system is, I'm so glad it's back. It kind of gets rid of the whole special part of prestiging for me, because you go in, you optionally reset it, and then you lose everything, got to regain it back. I love that about prestiging. But now it's just like you hit level 55, now you're prestige 1. And you hit level, I'm assuming it's level 55 again, prestige 2, and then I think max is prestige 3 right now. And then you hit max level, which is 100. And I'm assuming when season 1 comes out, they're going to add more prestiges, and they're actually going to make it to where it's level 1000 instead of 100. But I hope they at least add some rewards there, and it seems like they already are, because whenever you prestige, you do get prestige like keys. So that's really cool. Shout out to my boy Prestige's Key. Anyways, that's about it for my review. This multiplayer right now, I feel content-wise lackluster. The weapon balance needs a lot of tuning, especially with some burst weapons, shotguns, and still a little bit more tuning to the MP5 in my personal opinion. But other than that, the perks are really balanced in my personal opinion. The wild cards are balanced. The field upgrades are really good. The Semtex, like the lethal and tacticals, are, they're their own thing. Actually, I just forgot. Why, Treyarch, if you're watching this, why are stun grenades still doing that shit to us? Like, still doing that thing to where if you get stunned, you're literally not able to fight back. Somebody gets a free kill on you, all because they hit their little trigger button or their left bumper, or whatever, or the G button on their keyboard, and they get it. And when they stun you with it, if you don't have tac mask, you're pretty much screwed. I hate that. I hate something that's out of my control. Obviously, you can put the perk on to counter it. I shouldn't need the perk to be a crutch to counter stun grenades for making me literally immobile and not being able to defend myself. Your hip fire is cut in half. It's atrocious, and I think they need to tune the stuns now, because the tac mask being such a crutch perk for this is just, it's kind of ridiculous. But hey, as long as tac mask works, at least I'm okay with it, I guess. But anyways, that's gonna go ahead and go with my whole multiplayer review. But anyways, I want to go ahead and quickly go into my tips on how to get better at this game. So obviously, I still have a lot to learn. I'm not the best in multiplayer games. I've been taking years to try to learn these games, and I'm still not fantastic at them. But some tips I learned over time, and some tips I could reveal to you guys, is number 1, patience. So pretty much, obviously, you don't want to go balls deep into some place that you have no info on. Like, if there's a situation and you can't see anything on the minimap, obviously don't stare at your minimap. But if you can hear people, or you just don't really have much information, don't go bomb rushing in there. If you feel like you can move, go ahead. But if somebody's approaching you and you feel like you can't take the fight, patience. Be patient with it. Don't just jump a corner, slide or something, and then realize you just went up against 5 people. You went up against the entire team. You're screwed. Don't do that. Be patient. And if they push up, you wait for them. Obviously, that's a sign of camping, but that's kind of how you play multiplayer games nowadays, especially unless you're playing Apex. But for the most part, if you just hear one guy, then take him on. If you see one guy on that mini map, assume more people will have ghosts, but also make sure you take a peek if you want to. If you have a teammate with you, push up with them. Obviously, teammates are a key thing to this, unless you're playing free for all. But teammates are pretty key for the most part. Next up is your positioning and your centering. I'm gonna kind of combine these both because they kind of go hand in hand. And when you were watching my Miami gameplay, you could see that I was pretty much hanging around one building. That's my positioning kicking in. So your positioning is obviously very key. Some people really don't think some people tell you that it's not a big deal. It's actually a huge deal. If you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to do well. If you know the map and you're positioning very well and you're centering your aim with your positioning, you're going to do well. Now, what I mean by centering, the crosshair that you place on the door. I showed an example of this in my Battlefield, like kind of get better at Battlefield kind of video. But pretty much that kind of shows me centering. If you're expecting a target to be somewhere, look there. Don't look at the ground. Don't look in the sky. Look where you expect a target to be. Obviously, sometimes your centering and your prediction won't be very well, like won't be 100% correct all the time. But at least you were ready for a fight if it ever approached you. If you're in a sticky situation, and this is where bad positioning comes into play, if you're in like a really bad spot where like there's so many sight lines and you can only center on one sight line at a time. If you're in a bad spot, you try to get yourself to a better spot. If you can't, you got to kind of fight your way through maybe, but overall you're probably going to succeed. So up next is knowledge. Obviously your map knowledge. You like go into private games, learn these maps, become better at the game, like by just learning these maps, because you will definitely start knowing where people are going to come from, where some hotspots are of action that you've usually found, like where you think you found. Obviously play some live games, of course, to actually know where these hotspots are, or unless like Treyarch releases like heat maps or whatever. But for the most part, learn these maps, learn the UI, learn your weapon. That's why I just say knowledge in general too. Learn everything. Learn how your gun works. Spend a lot of time with that gun. You might as well spend a lot of time with that gun because the weapon XP is so slow. That's my final tip. If I missed any more tips, I'm kind of going a while on time here. But if I missed any tips that you kind of want to add to the comments, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. I love you guys. Have an absolutely fantastic day.